Hey Bookaholics, welcome back to another reading vlog. Today we're going to be starting a project. I am moving country. I've said this several times. In moving, I'm trying to make sure that if I'm bothering to pack up all these books, I'm taking with me the ones that I actually want to keep and ones that I actually want to read. So all of the ones that I am unsure about, I have put on these shelves, and they are going to be the ones that I'm going to be tackling for the next couple of months. So throughout May and June, I am going to hopefully be working my way through these books and seeing if I want to keep them or unhaul them, and then by the time it's time to go, I should have made a choice. So with that in mind, I have 67 books on these shelves. That's not counting sequels to other books that are on the shelves. So 60 books that I can read at this moment. I've done a random number generator, and basically the idea is I'm going to read whatever number book that is, go through the shelves. So one starting over here, all along here, continuing here, and ending here. And I am going to read that book. It's that simple. These are the only physical books that I will have access to, because all of my other books that I know I'm definitely keeping, be it TBR books and also books I've already read, will have been packed up. So I'm going to be tackling these. So the number that I generated this time round is I generated 33. So we're going to go count, find 33 and read it. And the book we've ended up with is The Resurrectionist by James Bradley. This is a book I'm interested in. This is a book I genuinely want to read. But I've owned this book for, I'd say, at least 3 years at this point. And I just keep not reading it. I just don't pick it up. So I put this on here on the hopes that it would come up and it would force me to read it, and then I can try it and see if it's my thing. This is Georgian England in 1826. It deals with the trade of stolen bodies, but through the gaze of, we have a man who has come to London to learn to be an anatomist, and then he eventually falls in with his master's enemy, or like nemesis, who is a resurrectionist, and it's to do with the corpse trade that was happening during this time period. So I'm very excited to give it a try, see how I fare with it, and hopefully I will enjoy the book and keep it. But if not, it's a good thing it's here, because then I can just unhaul it. So let's give it a go. All right, vlog, I am here to check in because sadly I think I am going to be DNFing The Resurrectionist by James Bradley. To have a concept like this that is talking about something as controversial at the time as grave robbing and all of the ethics and morals that came around the conversations of this time, it's a very interesting time in history. So for me to be bored is actually really impressive. There's no thread linking all of this. I don't care about the characters. There's not really a plot. I mean, there is and there isn't. It's just a load of almost scenes. The formatting of it is just not fun. I just don't care. Picking it up feels like a chore. Now, it might be me because I'm doing another vlog alongside this one, and I just DNF'd that book as well. So it might be a me thing that I am going through, but I am not vibing with this. So this is getting DNF'd and it's getting unhauled, which is exactly the point of what we're doing with this vlog. So it's no great loss, because that's why it's on the read or unhaul shelf, because I was unsure if it would. Well, this one I wasn't unsure. This one I thought I would enjoy. Actually, this is just one that I wanted to force myself to read, so I'm not just hauling another book around with me that has been on my shelf for years. I did do another number generator to see what I could get, and I ended up with 42. I've already counted these out. My kids were being really loud earlier, but I wanted to have a book locked and ready, so I did this off camera and I counted it out, and I have The Beekeeper's Apprentice by Laurie R. King. This one is a Sherlock Holmes retelling, and in it we are following a retired Sherlock Holmes who has taken up beekeeping, and this girl stumbles into his home, and her name is Mary Russell, and she's 15 years old but really smart. He takes her on as a protege, and their first case they work on together is to track down a kidnapped American senator's daughter and confront a truly cunning adversary, a bomber who has set tripwires for the sleuths and who will stop at nothing to end their partnership. I'm not a mystery girly, but I do like Sherlock Holmes. So it depends on if this reads like a Sherlock Holmes novel or if it reads like a modern mystery in a Victorian setting. So we'll see. This is one that could go either way. This is another one that I picked up in a charity shop that I've owned for years. My husband actually found this one for me while I was in the middle of reading Sherlock Holmes, which was so cute. And he was like, oh, you're reading Sherlock Holmes at the minute. You might want this one. And I was like, oh my God, yes. And then since then, I've just not read it, which is really bad. So I'm going to go start this one and hope that I don't have a load of DNFs in this vlog. It turns out I know my taste better than I think. So we'll see how I fare with this one.
So the upside is that this cull is going well. The downside is that I'm not actually enjoying what I'm reading. I got not very far into this, I'm not gonna lie. I got to page 82 and I don't care. I really don't. I'm not in my Sherlock Holmes era anymore. I'm definitely not in a YA era anymore, and this is reading rather YA. The protagonist is already annoying me. I'm not going to be fair with my rating with it, so I'm just not going to read it. So that is 2 down. So I have since then, okay, this update is a little bit overdue, but bear with me. I have since then done another number generator, and I can't even remember what number I got, but it's here. And that worked out to be The Rani of Jhansi by Prince Michael of Greece. This is one of the ones that I have the least expectations on, because The Rani of Jhansi is someone I find interesting. She's from the Calcutta region, someone I find interesting historically, someone I didn't know a huge amount about until I picked up this book and did a bit of research, and now I'm glad I own the book. However, this is also written, as I said, by Prince Michael of Greece, which means that it's written by one of the most privileged ass men you could possibly think of. So that to me is also not ideal. I have read some of it. I have finished part 1, so I am now on page 150. It's a lovely floppy paperback. I hate these really tall ones. Like, why is it this tall? You know? So I've read that and I didn't dislike it. I genuinely did not dislike the bit that I've read so far. It's been entertaining enough. I'm not keen on the voice, which is, I guess, to be expected. It might also be a bit of bias. I might be over reading into things. It's not what I want. It's not what I want to be reading tonally. So while I'm finding the character really interesting, I'm not finding her all that interesting in terms of the way she's being presented. So how you take a character that is this fascinating and present it in such a way that I'm like, okay, sure. I'm going to give it a little bit more time, but I've already read a whole part and I don't care. So I have generated another number just in case it'll get dark and I don't know if I'll be able to check back in again today. So if at any point I decide to give up on this, I don't need to feel behind even more. So I've generated another number just in case. And we got The Core of the Air by Stephen Hunt. Now look how faded this book, like that is supposed to be the same color. I've had this book a while. I didn't buy it new, I did buy it secondhand, so it was already a bit faded. This book is from 2007 and this one, I'm going to read the synopsis because it's been a hot minute. So this says, 2 orphans on the run, each with the power to save the world. When streetwise Molly Templar witnesses a brutal murder at the brothel she has recently been apprenticed to, her first instinct is to scurry back to the poorhouse where she grew up. But there she finds her fellow orphans butchered, and it slowly dawns on her that she was the real target of the attack. Oliver Brooks has led a sheltered existence in the backwater home of his merchant uncle. But when he is framed for his only relative's murder, he is forced to flee for his life, accompanied by an agent of the mysterious Court of the Air. Molly and Oliver each carry secrets in their blood, secrets that will either get them killed or save the world from an ancient terror. Thrown into the company of outlaws, thieves, and spies as they flee their ruthless enemies, the 2 orphans are also aided by indomitable friends in an endlessly inventive tale full of drama, intrigue, and adventure. It does look a lot of fun, and I'm really hoping that I'll have a good time with this. This is one of the ones that I picked up because it sounded really good from the charity shop. I've heard nothing about it, and I'm not going to look up reviews of it until I've read it, so we'll see how I fare. But I'll give this a little bit more of a chance. Again, even if I do finish it, I'll just read this one next. I've got plenty of time still on this vlog. Obviously, we've had the DNF already, DNFing another one, potentially continuing to see how much further I can go, whether or not I'll finish or DNF, and then another one that we can potentially start. It's looking pretty much exactly what I was expecting this experiment to be, really. A lot of DNFing and sifting through stuff and occasionally maybe finding something that I'll really enjoy. There's a reason these are on the I don't think you'll be making it to Scotland with me pile. So let's sift through and see what we end up with. Alright vlog, I'm still not going to count this one as a read book, even though I did finish it, sort of. I did read the last third, the last part, but I kind of skim read it and I should have DNF'd it, and I'm just not going to count it as a read book because, as I said, I literally did skim read the last third. It was not great, obviously, by the fact that I felt the need to skim read it. I kept not wanting to pick it up. So then I thought, well, I don't want to put it down because I want to see how it ends. I don't want to keep reading and it's putting me off reading. So I skim read it instead. So it's obviously also being unhauled. I really don't have any more thoughts on this book. It was not what I wanted it to be. She's an interesting character in history. I wouldn't mind this if it were written now, because this book is from 2013. It's not that old, but I wouldn't mind if like someone decided to get their hands on this character and do something new and refreshing, and preferably from a woman, and preferably a woman whose culture this is. It's not what I deter you from reading. It's just also not one that I think was worth my time, was more the thing. Like, it's not a bad book. I just don't think there were any components in this book that made it worth my time reading it, which is a shame because, again, topically, this should be my thing. We saw this in the charity shop and it just completely sounded like it should be my thing. Everything about this should have been my thing, and it just kind of wasn't, sadly. I have then since picked up The Court of the Air, and I am now on page 140, so I thought I'd check in and give some initial thoughts. We've got a lot going on in this first bit. We've got a lot of things being introduced quite quickly. This is a lot more for fantasy fans than I thought. I thought this would be one of those that it's a fantasy book and it's for people who don't normally read a lot of fantasy, but it's very much a fantasy book. Steampunk. We've had a load of like concepts already introduced. I don't find the characters hugely distinctive at the minute, and I also don't find the POVs very distinctive. Like, obviously their plots are different, but I don't find the characters' personalities are coming through yet. I don't know if that's just because the world building and the plot are more important to this author, so we're setting up those first, and then eventually maybe when the characters come together more, we'll see more of a distinction. I don't know. I'm liking the world building. I'm finding that really fascinating, and I'm curious to see where this plot's going to go. Again, we've already started having stuff happen. We actually haven't really had a slow moment yet. It's kind of like it's consistently about to build momentum at all times. Interesting pacing, interesting world. I'm curious about the plot. The intrigue is definitely there, so I'm very excited to get back to this. It is requiring more brain power from me than maybe I would like, but that's good. That's a good thing. I think that it will be worth my energy to get through this and to see how I fare with it. At the minute, as I said, I'm really intrigued enough to want to continue, which is the most important part. So once I am a bit further into this one, maybe once I'm at the halfway point or something, I'll check back in and let you know how I am faring. This one's quite a chunky one. It's like 500 and something pages, 582 pages, so that's quite a lot of book to get through. So once I'm about halfway, like I said, I'll check back in and see if we've taken a breather for a second once everything's set up and we've gotten to know the characters a bit better. And as I said, the world building is really good and that's really immersive, and the plot is very intriguing, so they're doing their thing. I just would like maybe a couple of slow moments to get to know the characters at some point, which I'm hoping the author is just kind of like setting his priorities straight, and then when we get to the two POVs converging, which I'm assuming are going to happen based on the synopsis, once those two POVs really converge, I'm assuming that then we will potentially get to know the characters a bit better and get to know their motivations and stuff a bit better, as opposed to it just being plot and world building heavy, which it is at the minute, because I do like a balance. I don't also think that there's a huge amount in the way of themes in this one. There have been some interesting conversations surrounding class divides and professions and sex work as well, and women's positions in the world and all those kinds of things. Those have been interesting. They're nothing new, absolutely nothing new, but they are good conversations to have, and they are adding to the world building and to the plot dynamics at times. So I'm hoping that that will continue to be a thing as well. So I'm hoping that the themes continue to increase in their richness. I'm hoping that we get to know the characters a bit better, that the plot continues to intrigue me just as much as it is now, and that the pace, while I'm enjoying it, I'm hoping we do have some slower moments at some point. So, like I said, when I get to halfway, I'll give you some more thoughts. All right, vlog, I'm here to check in because I am now halfway through The Court of the Air, so I thought I would give you some thoughts. I'm having such an odd experience with this one because there are so many things about it that I'm finding really interesting, that I'm really curious about. It's a very wordy book, and I don't really mean in like a prosaical or even like a purple way particularly, but it's just a lot of words a lot of the time. There are a lot of neologisms and word-specific words. There are a lot of names of characters that don't feel distinctive enough for me to be able to picture them or to give them any kind of meaningful significance. So there's just a lot of stuff going on. It's quite an action heavy book as well, which is not normally my preference. I can get on board with them. So it's kind of making me procrastinate on picking it up. It's one of those books that when I am reading it, I am enjoying. I do enjoy my experience with the book. I need to kind of psych myself up to pick it up again, to get back to it again, if that makes sense. So it's a book I'm enjoying. It's a book that I think is well written. I think that it has some interesting conversations on world building going on, and it is one that I kind of want to like more than I do. It's kind of a book that I'm curious about, and my brain is like, huh, okay. My actual reader soul is like, all right. So it's a very strange experience. I would put this actually in a similar camp, nowhere near like in the same realm, like thematically or anything, but in the same way as I felt about Consider Phlebas by Ian M. Banks, which the vlog for that is coming out in the summer, in the sense that I quite admire the book. I admire the project of the book. I enjoy what he's trying to put forth in terms of like as a conversation, in terms of the innovative side of it, the way that he's utilizing fantasy. I just don't care about the book. I'm interested in the book. I don't care about the book. I need both. I'm not a character or plot driven reader. I can go either way. Even if I'm not a character driven reader, I need a motivator, if that makes sense. So either the plot needs to have a level of intrigue that is unputdownable, or I need to care about the characters. Either or, but neither of these are quite strong enough on their own, but neither of them are doing enough to pull the weight either. So then like the plot isn't quite so gripping that I can't put it down, and the characters aren't quite so relatable that I have an emotional connection. So I'm just kind of lacking a little something there. So while I admire the book and while I'm interested in the book, I don't care about the book at the moment. I shall continue, and once I get to the end I can hopefully give you a better idea of whether or not I'm going to keep this, because at the minute I genuinely don't know if I want to keep this book or not, which is an odd one. my vlog, we are here to wrap up because I have now finished The Court of the Air, and that seems like a good amount of books, I think, to have at least attempted per video. I did consider reading one more book, but it would be my luck that I would just get another DNF, and then it doesn't really add anything to the vlog, and it kind of just ekes it out needlessly. So I thought I'd end on this one that I actually have thoughts on and that I can actually talk about a little bit, and then wrap this vlog up and then try for another one. Have ended up giving this one 3 stars. All the things that I said in terms of this being a book that is more about me respecting what the author's trying to do, but not actually having a good time with it, like not actually enjoying the book, still holds. I still very much am not invested in where the story took me. It didn't feel like something I would want to continue. I'm not interested in continuing the series. It had so much promise. Like there were so many things in there that I did think were really unique and were really interesting and really standout things. And I just don't think that they were really brought together in a way that felt meaningful to me. It's one of those that I feel very odd about because it is definitely one where I do respect the craft. I do respect how this book was written and the intentions the author had for it. I know I didn't enjoy it, but I don't think that I got anything out of it either. It's come out as 3-star Encore pile. I can't pinpoint enough things for me to fault it enough to bring it down lower than that, and anything below that would feel ungenerous, but at the same time it feels high, if that makes sense. I suppose if I were on Storygraph, maybe like a 2.75 might fit better for me. I don't know. I'm not confident in the rating for this. When I was about halfway, I didn't know if this would be a book that I would keep or if I would unhaul it, if this would remain here and I wouldn't take it to the UK with me. On the basis that it kind of depended where it ended. Like I was very curious still in the first half. It's not that the second half lost me. It just never went anywhere enough. And I'm not saying that it's devoid of action or story. There's so much going on in this book. It is a very full book. I just never got more invested in it. I never got more intrigued by it. So while the book's pace amped up and while the mystery amped up and the action amped up tenfold, none of the things that would make me become more invested in the book amped up. And therefore, I'm still not really in a position to say that I really enjoyed this book, and therefore I am really glad that I've read it. So it is getting unhauled, which is a shame because, again, there was a part of me when at the halfway point that thought maybe I would keep it. And now I'm not, which is a shame. It is one that if you are a fan of steampunk and you just kind of want to see someone experimenting within the space, I would recommend it. It's not a bad book, but it is very action heavy. If you're not an action heavy fan, I don't think this would be for you. I have very mixed feelings on this book. I can imagine as well the rest of the series being better, but I'm not willing to put money on it to try, if that makes sense. So this is where we're at. So, to wrap up the vlog, the first thing we pulled was one that I genuinely thought I would like. This is the one out of this whole vlog I thought would be the most likely for me to enjoy. I should have loved this, but the way this story was told and presented really didn't work for me. I got maybe about 100-ish pages in, I can't remember. It felt eternal, and I really wanted to love it because it's set in the Hanoverian period. It's set around the sciences that were evolving at that time and medicine, and it's got fantasy elements to it, and I should have loved this, but I really didn't, sadly. So it's just not in the cards, and it is getting unhauled. The next one that I picked up was The Beekeeper's Apprentice. This one didn't fare any better. I'm not a mystery girly, and I did buy this when I was reading Sherlock Holmes, and I thought, oh, reading and retelling, afterwards would be fun. And then years went by and I didn't read it, and I'm still not a mystery girly. And while I think this could be enjoyable for a mystery fan, I don't think that it really added anything to the Sherlock Holmes story. I'm not reading it for the mystery alone. I don't think the protagonist offered much of anything. I don't think she really had a personality at all per se. So if you're a fan of like Holmesian style mysteries, if you want like a murder mystery story and you like the Sherlock Holmes books, it could be a good time. Again, I really struggled with the protagonist and I just realized I wasn't enjoying it. So there was no point in me continuing. So I just stopped. I can't even remember where I stopped on that one. One that I did read 2/3 of, and then the final third I did skim read, is The Rani of Jhansi Prophecy by Prince Michael of Greece. This is one that wish I had gotten more out of. A lot of this book sounds like something I would really like. I really do enjoy mythology and history, and reading about this interesting woman, Indian history should have been my thing as well, but just the way it was presented, it just didn't feel like much of anything. It felt very insubstantial. The writing style was really not for me. It wasn't that it was badly written, I just didn't care. While I was reading it, I thought, oh, I'll Google that later. And if I feel like I'm going to be more interested in what Google has to say than what a whole book has to say, that says everything you need to know. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just look that up later instead. So yeah, it's just not one of those that was meant for me, really. I did go into this with bias. I did go in thinking that maybe the writing style wouldn't be for me. I don't know if that is the translation. This was originally written in French. I don't know if that factors in. I don't know if Michael translated it himself. I'm fine not finishing it properly. Again, I skim read the end just to kind of see, and I needn't have bothered. And then the one that had the best chance of being rescued from the removal pile, but still didn't quite make it, with The Court of the Air. I did enjoy a lot of the components of this, but not enough for me to have particular attachment to it, to really ever think about it again, or to want to continue the series, and therefore there is no point in me keeping it. And there you have it. Those are the 4 books that I've read for this vlog, which has just turned into a watch me unhaul all of the books that I was not interested in reading and should have unhauled years ago episode instead. Hopefully the next few episodes will be better in that regard, but who knows? I might just end up being like, unhaul a lot of them, who cares? But I hope that you've enjoyed nonetheless watching me kind of see, I guess, the way my own mood reading works. The fact that I haven't really gravitated towards these books and picked them up makes me kind of think that I knew deep down that they weren't going to be for me, and I don't know how I knew that. And whether it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of like they're on here and therefore I've gone in with low expectations, but you'd think that would work in the book's favor. I don't know, but I'm glad that I'm getting through these books and that I'm not just unhauling all these things without reading them. I just wish that I was having a better success rate with them, but I suppose at least then it's less books that I'm going to need to try and store when we move. So you win some, you lose some. Let me know if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them. Let me know if, based on the things that I was drawn to in these books, let me know if you can think of a better example that you think that I might like more. I'd always love to know. But that's all from me for today. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll hopefully catch you in another one soon.